Los Angeles film producer Charles Belk says he was wrongfully arrested in August, but is now working to help improve the criminal justice system.
Retired Police Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey joined Belk to talk about the issue based on her experiences in the LAPD. Valley View News reporters Melissa Trahan and Marcelino Rallo sat down with them.
Thank you so much for taking the time out for your busy schedules to be with us today. We have Cheryl Dorsey with us, author of The Creation of a Manifesto Black and Blue, and retired LAPD sergeant.
And we also have Mr. Charles Belk in the studio. He is a film producer and currently an activist on a very relevant cause. You have witnessed firsthand what it's like to deal with an incident with racial profiling. And not only has it taken time out of your life, you have also had developed an arrest record. Can you sort of explain what you had to go through to alleviate that?
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. It was for me, a fairly completely new experience. Had never got arrested before. So trying to understand that what it was going to be the after effect. Once I thought that I was all cleared and there was no problem, I was innocent, I found out I had an arrest record. And I started asking around. A lot of folks who have been arrested don't know they still have an arrest record out there, and they need to get that expunged or it will stay with them. One of the things that we did was started a campaign called the Auto Erase Campaign, which requires that when a law enforcement agency makes a mistake and wrongfully arrests you, it's then become, the onus is on them to auto erase that record, automatically erase that record, so that you won't have to, as an individual, spend an average of $5,000 and sometimes up to 6 months getting this arrest record taken care of other folks with the same situation.
Right. With you starting this auto arrest petition, I know that you asked all 50 of U.S. attorneys generals to jump in on this with you. Can you tell us what states have jumped in on this with you and maybe which ones haven't and why that is?
So we're approaching it from, just to be clear, we're approaching it from several different standpoints. From an administrative standpoint, which are the Attorney General's office, and then from a legislative standpoint by getting legislators to introduce new bills to hopefully become laws. What I found out from the California State Attorney General office is that for a situation like mine, where a law enforcement agency wrongfully arrests someone, all they have to do is send an official memorandum to the California State Attorney General office, and the Attorney General will then pull it out of the state records and notify the federal government to pull it out of the federal records. That's a very little known operation procedure that apparently a lot of law enforcement agencies didn't know about. The Attorney General is issuing an official bulletin to all of the law enforcement agencies in the state of California. They're going to give me that, and we're going to send that out to all 50 attorney generals to make sure that, hey, do you guys have a procedure like this that maybe your local law enforcement agencies need to be reminded of? So we're excited about that. On the legal side of it, from a legislative standpoint, we have 4 state legislators that are already agreed. In fact, bills are in drafting, and one is supposed to get introduced this month, November. We have Chicago, Illinois. We have a representative from Los Angeles, California. So California, Illinois, Ohio, and North Carolina are the 4 states thus far.
All right. Well, now we're going to sort of change our perspective on this a little bit and talk about, Cheryl, your book. From your perspective, in this case with Charles, and like so many others, what do you think could have been done differently?
I think unless and until police departments, number one, are willing to admit that there's a problem, that they didn't get it right, we're going to continue to see this replicate itself again and again and again. And so my hope is that going forward with this petition and with the auto erase and with just the attention that has been drawn to Charles's situation, other police departments may have some dialogue during roll call and talk about what went wrong in this situation, how can we do things better, because that's what we do as police officers. We learn from others' mistakes, right? And so if you see an opportunity to do something different, to change the way that you operate, why wouldn't you want to do that? And so sometimes what we do as law enforcement officials is not always black and white. It's not always something that you were taught or trained or you read in a manual. Sometimes it's just what makes good sense. And so if you stop someone and they are able to articulate in the way that Charles was, that, hey, I just walked out of a restaurant, I've got a receipt that's time-stamped, please go take 10 steps and talk to these people and verify this. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Any last comments regarding this topic? Cheryl Dorsey, we'll start with you.
So I'll just say this real quick, just to kind of piggyback on what Charles just talked about, the patience that he showed. Because what I encourage people to do, and it matters not your ethnicity, I say you cannot hold court curbside. And so the very best thing for you to do is be an advocate for yourself, be a good witness for yourself, go along with the officer's directives whether you feel they are justified or not. And then there's a procedure and a way to handle that after the fact. And really the best way to do that is to create a paper trail. Not a telephone call to Internal Affairs, not a telephone call to the front desk, but write a letter and you CC about 6 or 7 people, starting with the chief of police on down, and make sure that somebody knows what just occurred.
What I would say is that things are going to happen. They're going to continue to happen to you, but make sure that you understand your goal is to get home safely. Afterwards, tell your story. Make sure you tell your story. Don't sit on it. Tell your story, even if it's just through social media, and then do something about it. We have a lot of things to change in this country. We're not going to individually change everything, but we can individually change one thing. My one thing is auto erase. Your one thing may be something completely different, but do it. 10 years from now, all of our one things will have changed society.
Thank you so much again for being with us today. We'll send it back to you guys.